Hello guys, I'm here to show you a small and quick tutorial as to how you can do a small layer blending using the Photoshop and the blending options. So once we look into how we can use a blending option, we can also see how we can apply a texture to this 3D steps that's right here in front of us. So let's go into Photoshop, and first let's start with the beginning. So before I go ahead, I want to show you something that really is important while we continue this tutorial, because that is something that we are going to use it nearly in the future, like once we go into using some texturing for this tool. So this is one of the tools that I want to show it to you. So once you unlock this, if you press into Control T, you can scale in your image, and also you can go into filter, and you have some option called filter, where you can basically give some filter to the image. And also there's one more option that you can go into blur gallery, and you can use the option called field blur, and this will you know help you to give blurring option only for certain areas. For example, I have one point here which has around 15 pixels, so I just want to reduce it to 0, and I can add up another point here, and that point also has 15, so I can just bring it down back to normal. So if I click on this, the one that's on the top, I can go ahead and increase it back slowly, so that the blurring starts from the top and it is sharpened at the bottom. Can you see that? So why I wanted to show you this tool is because we are going to use this in order to do some editings as it comes soon. Okay, so let's go into the editing purpose. So I have an image here, and I want to use this image on top of this in order to create a blending effect onto this face. So once we see how we can use the blending effect, let's see how we can use the same technique but with a different style into applying onto these steps. So here we go. So right now I have this image selected, so I have my transparency reduced, or the opacity, in order to check whether my image is fit enough for the background image. So once I feel that this image is suitable or the size is okay, then I can increase my opacity back again. And then I need to take a duplicate of this face here, right here. So because I want only these areas, I mean only the face area, to be affected with the blending of with this artwork. So having this right on top of this image, I'm going to turn off the visibility here, and I'm going to take a duplicate copy of this, but only the face, by choosing or selecting quick selection, or maybe you can use any other option that you have, and make a quick selection. And once you have this selected, once you're happy with your selection, you can click on Control J. Unfortunately, I don't want these hair areas, because actually I want the blending of this artwork to be applied only to the face. So maybe you can also use the quick selection tool quickly in order to, select these areas. And you can also use the Alt button to choose exactly where you want the quick selection to work. So this is just a rough selection. Maybe you can use a pen tool, or there are so many other options, or so many other ways that you can use this, use the tools to select. So once you're happy with this, you can just go ahead and say delete. And then I have this here, so you can use the eraser tool in order to erase all the other things that you don't want. So this is just a rough selection and just a rough idea. So actually our basic, or our target, is to blend this image here right on top of this one. So let's see what we can do here. All right, so hopefully I have this image selected. So now I need to go ahead and make a quick selection of this. So holding Control, I can just click on top of this image here, or the thumbnail, and you can see that it pops up with a selection. So now you can select onto your layer which you have right on top and make your visibility on. And now that you have the visibility on and your selection is also on, you can go ahead and start choosing whatever the blending option that you want. But right now I'm going in for multiply, and I'm happy with this. So once I'm happy with this, I can see that this has applied perfectly onto the face, but then I still have some extra additional images that I mean their artwork that is right um, outside my character. So I need to make sure that these other things has been deleted. So what I can do is I can go ahead, click on to control, and once you have the selection again, make sure you have the other layer which you want to um, delete be selected. You can inverse your selection and then click on delete. So once you have this deleted, you can see that your face is perfectly fit in. So now that you turn on your layer, you can see that there is a small blending that has happened onto the face. But then you can see that these other outlines are already here. So in order to do that, you can also use the masking option. So once you have the selection here, you can also go ahead and use mask, and you can just inverse it. And now you can use the brush tool in order to go ahead and polish it. So wherever you want the mask to work, you can just go ahead and start using that over there. So I'm just doing this roughly. Maybe you can do it much more neater. And if you have the time, you can just try to finish it up slowly. Uh, okay, so well, so if you really want to finish it up neatly, you can do it very slowly, and you can make sure that these things really are brought back. And now that you have this mask selected, you can also go in, you can also do some changes which can make this image much more natural. So how do we do that? Double click onto this layer, and once you have your layer style up here, you have this underlying layer option. So here we need to do the settings for the lights because there are some dark and light shades onto this face. But since we have applied this image right on top of this, it does not show exactly where it has to be dark and which has to be light. So we need to inform the Photoshop that we need dark areas to be a bit darker and the light areas to be a bit lighter. So in order to do that, we just had to double click onto this and bring up your layer style, and using the underlying layer, you can just grab your bright areas, see that it shows wherever it is bright. But then this is really too much. You can also break this selection by clicking on to Alt, and then once you click onto this, you can see that there are two different sliders now. So you can slide one slider to the other end, which will try to blend your artwork. So now the light areas are becoming more lighter and your image is becoming more natural. Okay, now that we want the dark areas to be more darker, we can also say just click OK, and then you can duplicate this layer by dragging and dropping into this. And once you have this, now this time we are going to apply a different blending method, which is we are going to use screen. So once we apply screen, you can see it is very bright. So you can just double click onto this and bring up your layer style, and this time you're going to bring this whiteness to low, and you're going to bring the darkness slowly into your character. So once you bring this, you can see it is really heavy because darkness is too much. So same way you can hold on to Alt, and then you can slowly drag in so that your character gets much natural effect onto her face. So now you can see that the dark areas are more darker and the light areas are more lighter, and she looks much more natural compared to what it was. And if you want to see how it has really affected the face, I can take a duplicate of this, and I can bring this, and we can scale it down. Okay, and in order to do some additional adding on to this, you can just select them together, just group it, and you can also reduce the opacity a bit so that the face looks much more natural. So this is one option, like how you can apply a small blending onto a face. But let's go something much beyond that, something advanced than this. Imagine we are going to apply the same image right on top of this. So even if I'm going to use the transformation option, and then even if I'm going to tilt it, and then if I'm going to, skew it according to the what I call staircase or whatever, maybe I'm just trying to show it to you. So if I'm going to drag them, and if I'm going to give a blending option like something overlay or multiply, you can see, but it has a small blending on it, but then it's not really giving it a natural look, like has how it should really affect. So maybe you can try changing some blending options, but it's really not working as I expected. So what we can do instead of that is we can use the vanishing point tool, which will really help us. So how does that work? Let's go ahead. So let's bring this image here right on top of this. So we are going to apply this image onto this the staircase that's here, the white stone, and then we are going to blend it over so that it is going to be looking like a natural painting. So I'm just going to click this off here. All right, so first thing that you need to do is you need to go into filter, and then you need to go and choose vanishing point.